Important to define, because it's where we're at, is what is a recession? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? Well, for one, you could lose your job. Your neighbor could lose their job. Layoffs are common in a recession. Loans will be harder to get as people do lose their jobs. The banks are not going to give out loans to those who don't have jobs. Businesses will likely close. They'll go bankrupt as sales start to tumble. The stock market will fall. Your nest egg shrinks. It is a problem for retirees who didn't plan on this. Your home value could fall as well. It happened in the last recession. Pretty much, big picture, everyone is less confident. They choose to spend less. It has a ripple effect. People spend less. Boom, recession.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Lovely.
All right, now for the good news.
I brought you down. Now Leland's going to bring you up.
Oh, boy, we got a big hole I might need some help to get out of this hole. Dan O'Donnell, host of the Dan O'Donnell Show, News Talk 1130 in Milwaukee. It's interesting when you listen to Marnie go through the facts, then you listen to sort of the spin from the White House, which is, hey, unemployment's low, things are getting better, we're building the economy from the ground up. This is what the president said before he left. At some point, does it even matter, Republican or Democrat, what politicians say when they're feeling all the things that Marnie just laid out?
No, absolutely not. First of all, thank you guys for having me. I know you originally booked a lot of TikTok stars to get this message out, but they canceled on you, so thanks for having me.
They were going out to the clubs. They're the young kids who are having fun, okay?
Right. I mean, no, it doesn't matter because people can see every single day what they're paying. And the price of gas is the biggest one. This is why the Biden administration recruited all those TikTokers, because when you fill up a tank of gas and you know you usually pay about $45 for a 16-gallon tank or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're paying $86, that's real. You feel that. Tip O'Neill famously said in the 1980s, all politics is local. All politics right now is personal. People vote how they feel, how political decisions impact them. And if they believe that the Biden administration is responsible for them paying $86 for a tank of gas, that's big, big trouble come November.
Dan, are we at a point now, though, where people, one, they'll make their decision come November at the polls, but that they start making changes in their daily routine at this point with the recession on the horizon? I mean, a lot of people, people are traveling. I mean, a lot of stuff costs more, but people, are they cutting corners now? I guess that's the question.
Oh, yeah. Well, what sparked the big market slowdown, market crash, frankly, it dropped 1,100 points a couple of days ago, was earnings reports from Walmart and Target. We are a consumer-based economy, and most consumers, if they're not shopping on Amazon, they're shopping at one of those two retailers. More critically, these are people who are shopping at Walmart and Target. I mean no disrespect by this. In fact, I think I got this suit at Target, if you can believe that. But these are people who aren't at the highest echelon of the wage scale. These are people who are struggling. Earnings are down for those retailers because those people who buy their staples at Walmart and Target, I'm one of them, aren't buying as much. The behaviors have already changed. And now, because Walmart and Target fared so poorly in the first quarter, that spooked the rest of the market saying, hey, wait a second. If people are pulling back on essentials, come summer travel, as you said, Marnie, there isn't going to be a summer travel season. People's behaviors are in the midst of changing right now, perhaps for the long term as they sort of hunker down to try to deal with this economy.
Well, how about retirees in all of this? Because they're on a fixed budget, and they certainly didn't plan for this, and there's not a lot of wiggle room, right?
No, there isn't at all. And in fact, these are the people who are hit hardest by this. The people who are on fixed incomes. And how about this? You have got the baby boom generation up until my generation, the millennials, by far the biggest in American history. They're all at retirement age. And even though people are working longer than ever before, there are millions of people who are contemplating retirement. Well, guess what? The nest egg that they thought they were sitting on 6 months ago is half what it was. I mean, we're seeing a huge downturn. And at the same time, retirement, especially early retirement, while you can still enjoy it, is the time you want to go on trips, you want to go dancing, you want to go out, you want to live your life, you want to have fun. people aren't able to do that because they're not able to afford anything anymore. If you're on a fixed budget, heck, I'm still in the prime of my earning income. I don't want to pay $32 for chicken wings or whatever it is.
No, people are, as you point out, already are starting to make decisions and cut back on different things. And we see that. It just is human nature as things cost more and you're sort of stunned by the price of things. From a political standpoint, there's obviously the thought of it may not be the president's fault, but it's the president's responsibility. And Jimmy Carter certainly learned that because what's happening now, really the stage was set for it probably a couple of years ago, certainly in the beginning of the pandemic. This would be the question. Are you hearing from any of your callers and the folks you talk to in Wisconsin, a swing state, an understanding that the president feels their pain, may not be able to fix it, but that they feel like he understands and is doing his best to fix it?
You know, that's actually a really interesting question, Leland. I haven't. And obviously, I, as a conservative talk radio host, sort of broadcast to a more conservative audience, which is far less likely to be sympathetic or to imbue the president with the sort of empathy that maybe Bill Clinton had, that even even Newt Gingrich had to begrudgingly admit that Clinton had the I feel your pain thing down. What I think people are tired of is the excuses, right? Like, what is the Biden administration still trying to say? This is Putin's price hike, right? Well, you can blame Vladimir Putin for paying more for gas. Part of that is true, but prices started going up almost immediately after Biden's economic and domestic oil policies took effect. So people are seeing through that, and they're not saying, okay, this is a president who walked into a bad situation. I think they're seeing this is a president who's trying his level best not to accept any responsibility for anything that's going on economically.
Yeah. Well, real quickly before we let you go, I mean, there's the politics and then there's trying to figure out a solution. So what is the Fed's role in all of this in trying to tamp down a recession? What options do they still have in their tool belt?
Boy, not a lot. I mean, frankly, the last time inflation was this high, the only thing that got it back down to palatable levels was a full-on recession. And right now, the Fed is gradually raising interest rates. And remember, when they first did their first rate hike, that spooked the market as well, because investors were saying, hey, wait a second, the Federal Reserve isn't acting aggressively enough. Rates need to go up, and this is going to hurt a lot, but rates need to go up significantly and quickly to essentially cool the economy down, to get people to a point where they're ready to shop at Walmart and Target again. The downside of this, of course, is big purchases for houses and cars. Those are going to be far tougher to come by. So the Fed is in a real difficult spot. But I think, sadly, the only real solution here is a massive rate hike and swallowing the bitter pill of recession, which obviously no one wants to do in an election year.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.